What's up, YouTube? My name is Joe Nami. I'm just a guy, just a random person. I'm in the, I don't know, some kind of nature, but I wanted to talk today about why life isn't fair. You know, I think it's interesting. I think one thing that's interesting is, like, we all know, like, one time I was at like an AA meeting and I brought up that life wasn't fair, and I was upset and they all laughed at me. But they laughed because, like, it's obvious, you know what I mean? Like, we all know that, but it's like, but yet we still all get angry, you know, when, like, oh, fuck, that person got promoted. Oh my God, you know, or like, that person won the election, you know? Definitely a lot of people don't realize how much luck plays a role in life. And I think it's really I really think it's kind of underplayed, unfortunately, because if hard work was the only key to success, and, you know, then construction workers would be millionaires and the Kardashians would be homeless. I'm just kidding. They worked hard to look that way. It's not easy to go under the knife. You know, so, I mean, first, there's the genetic component. You know, like, I have clinical depression. I think it's, at this point, they've diagnosed it as bipolar depression, which it's not been fun. I mean, half the time it was really fun. And then, you know, the other half of the time it was a nightmare. You know, living in my car, short stint in the psych ward, you know, only a day for having, you know, white thoughts. 68% of are by white males. But anyways, that's not what we're here to talk about. God, I love this trail. So there's the genetic component of, like, you know, some people just get a fucking shit bag of genes, you know what I mean? Like, not good cards to play with. And then there's some people that, you know, are born looking like Brad Pitt or whoever the new Brad Pitt is now. I don't know, Jonah Hill or Timothy Chalamet. You know, but then genetics are only half of the situation, because what we know from studies with, like, identical twins separated at birth is that genetics really only play about 50% of the equation. And the nurture, the environment, is the other half. You know, what happens? There's a term called epigenetics, and that's about how certain genes in one environment, your genes might be expressed in a way where you're really successful and you're getting a lot of the happiness and the things that you want in life. And then in a different environment, the epigenetics would be expressed in a way where, like, you're a huge loser. You know, that's happened to me. So there's epigenetics, and then there's the environment, you know. And the thing is, too, like, nowadays, a lot of this stuff has been dominated by, like, great, cool jobs. Like, we all want to have a cool job that plays to our strengths, is meaningful, fulfilling, challenging, a sense of autonomy. And there's just so few of those jobs, you know. Dunkin' Donuts. But I've been fired from most of my jobs, and I never really seemed to fit in at a lot of jobs. you know, and it's like, you know, when you think of like your dream job, it's like, that's great. It probably meets a lot of those needs. But so few of us get there because a lot of it is dominated. Like, you know, take like an author, for example. A lot of people love writing books, you know, but it's like everything, what's the popular stupid book now? I don't know. I guess you could take the Da Vinci Code. That was an old one, but I actually liked the movie in a ironic way. I mean, it wasn't that good, but it was fun. You know, it was like, it was a movie that was good with like 2 beers. I went to film school, so, you know, we're not watching the Da Vinci Code in film school, you know what I mean? But like, that book took all of the market share, all of the money, was like pretty much taken by the Da Vinci Code. And then all the like these other cool indie authors, there's nothing left over for them. You know, they're starving. You know, if they're lucky, they can get a job teaching for $30,000 a year. Yeah, it's too bad that there's not more of an equal distribution. But part of it is like, part of the problem too is like because of the way our attention span evolved. Like, we really can't hold more than like 7 to 10 authors in our mind on a short-term basis. Like, you know, if you sat down and really thought about it, you could probably list 100. But I think in terms of like short-term retrieval, like human attention is kind of dominated by the 0.01%. Like, I guess to explain it a better way or a more scientific way is that, like, you know, most things in life that we do follow a bell curve distribution. You know, the bell curve's kind of like height or weight, you know, like everybody kind of, you know, there's some people in the middle that are very average, and then there's some people that are really tall, and then but then success, like with books or movies or whatever cool job you can think of, or follows more of a power law distribution, which is more like the distribution of wealth, which is to say that, you know, the majority of the money ends up in the hands of like 0.01% of people. Like, I read this recently. The richest 8 men in the world have more money than the bottom 50% of the world, which is pretty cool. Why did I say that? So the thing is, the relationship between skill and success, I hate to get nerdy, but the correlation coefficient between the bell curve and the power law distribution between skill and success shows that the relationship between the rewards are very loose and elastic. Which is to say that the people that are like really succeeding, like really hitting it out of the park, like, they don't really deserve it that much. You know what I mean? Like, did Jeff Bezos make an efficient business? Yeah. Does he deserve all of the money? No. You know, but that's life. Another thing is, like, so you might say, like, okay, well, I'm pretty good at crocheting or knitting. Why is my Etsy channel not taking off? And, you know, a lot of it really is chance. But the thing is, let's say we all lived 1,000 years. You'd be much more likely that your Kickstarter, your GoFundMe, or your Etsy page would go viral, you know, or attract a fan base and you'd get to do what you wanted, you know? Because you would have significantly more chances. But our lives are only, you know, if you're lucky, 80 years. So our lives are kind of a small sample size. There's something called the law of large numbers, which is like if you flip a quarter 10,000 times, if you flip it 100 times, it might come up heads 75 times. But if you flip it 10,000 times, you're much more likely to get a even distribution of heads and tails. You know what I mean? So what that means is that on a larger timeline, we all kind of get the same luck. But life is so short that's why a lot of us are unlucky. I don't know. I mean, I didn't really provide a solution. I guess just keep flipping the coin. And in the meantime, just practice some acceptance. All right. It was good talking to you, YouTube. Bye. Joe. Yes, it doesn't matter.